Hello, it's Two Bricks back in with another video, and I'm so excited to bring you guys the next installment of the Ghost build series. This one has been so fun, so challenging. It's so funny because the Ghost looks like such a little nothing ship in terms of design wise, you know, it just looks like this chunky blocky thing that should be super easy. But no, there's a lot of really challenging and tricky angles on this ship. And so yeah, for today's update I'm just going to show you a bunch of the progress that I've made so far. Nothing is really complete. There's a lot more kind of bare bones, just starting to flesh things out in the back section here kind of stuff this week than there was from the previous update, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long, and I think it is interesting in some ways to see some of the evolution of some of those shapes and things as they go. Down here I have my tiny little die-cast Ghost model, which is really funny actually because it, like the real thing, it's unable to, it always tips back when it sits on its landing feet there. So my Ghost is starting to want to tip back as well because the weight is beginning to pile up back here, and it's just for the designers of the ship, it is just physically impossible for this thing to balance with all of the weight that is on the back end. So yeah, there'll have to be some kind of a little stand or something that I employ. But yeah, I just find that funny that the designers of Star Wars follow the rule of cool to the extent that they made a ship that isn't physically able to stand up on its own. But that's okay, we don't mind because it looks awesome. But yeah, so last week, if you guys don't remember, it was cut off right here. So right down this the back section here of this little vein, there was nothing else beneath or behind that. So all of this stuff with the engine and this new section on the roof here is all brand new. All of this framework, all of the paneling, this is all brand new. So I'm going to be taking a look at that today. I have some interior stuff that's just starting to get figured out, and let's just get in and take a look at the progress. Alright, so just to give you guys a quick look here around the back at the progress, you can see I only have one out of the 4 engines on the Ghost present. So there's a whole lot of missing stuff happening over here. We have a lid here which is removable, which I will be showing you guys in a little bit how that looks. And then we have a lot of interesting experimentation happening here with different shapes of panels to create the very unique shape of this back section, where it's just sort of blends into the underside of this engine in a very interesting way. And then yeah, so then I have this duplicated panel here, which is duplicated from the front to the back. It's the same exact proportions. I haven't finished building this section under here, so this is all very patchy. And then down here you can just see bare Technic frame that is waiting to be built up upon and also closed in, because another one of these panels does sit underneath and it sits in at an angle similar to the one on top. So a lot of this will end up being covered up, and then there'll be a lower part where this fin comes out to the back at sort of roughly kind of this angle here. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So let me just start getting in close with the handheld shots here and show you some of the cool details up close. I'm really happy with this. The shape is turning out really nice. But yeah, this has been a really challenging week design-wise. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the stuff up close. Alright, so looking at it from the top-down view here, I think it looks pretty respectable. So we have our removable lid section right here. So that is just held in with a couple of studs, so 1 and 2. And the rest of it is just fit into shape and into the kind of form of where it needs to be to meet the exact needs of this space requirement. And then I have the continuation of the engine. So here we have the pipe that starts out, you know, at the front here, and it meets up very neatly with the end of this engine section right here. So this engine is built in to the actual frame of the ship. It is not going to be removable because just structurally it really needs to be there. And this is the space where the Phantom and the Phantom 2 will come into dock, and this represents the little hatch that will enable folks to climb out of the bottom hatch of the Phantom or the Phantom 2 into the ship directly from there. And there's a little bit of a space mismatch in here because this ladder, I believe, is meant to hook up exactly to underneath this area, but because my Ghost is a very compressed space and it has a very a different layout internally, just because of, you know, how this is a playset scale model, not a UCS or a minifig scale model. There are certain requirements for that. So but I'm not 100% sure. There may be a little corridor that leads off of this ladder that goes up to the docking area, and this may just be a separate ladder that, you know, there's a secondary ladder back here. I have to double check on that, but as far as I know, this is meant to be the access hatch to the Ghost, or to the Phantom. But yeah, don't hold me to that. Don't yell at me in the comments, please, if I'm wrong. All of this space in here is temporary and is going to change pretty drastically. So basically what I started with was looking at the curved couch here, which is a must for me. So that feature is like a super recognizable part of the Ghost and is as much a part of its identity as the couch and the Dejag table are in the Millennium Falcon. So I really, really wanted to capture that here. And they have a little bit of a larger looking Dejag table. It could be just the animated style exaggerating the look of that, but I felt like it was big enough that I didn't want to use one of these standard printed Dejag table pieces. I wanted to go with a nearly double-sized version here with the actual brick built detail, because I thought that would be fun. And then we have a little stool here off to the side, and also this really weird, interesting wooden chair, which has this super unique shape to it, where it's got this this like one lopsided, like it really looks like it was handmade by Chopper or something. It's got this one lopsided side here, and then it kind of comes down around the back and into the other side. And if you look at it in the show, it is present right there next to the couch, and it does look very weird and wonky, like how this one does. And so I was really happy that I figured out a way to easily kind of replicate that look there. And then here is a representation of the little closet area that Ezra Bridger first hides in when he doesn't know what the Ghost crew are going to do with him. So back here would open and there would be an interior space there. But again, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep that, especially not at the scale that it's at right now, just because of the size requirements of when this other side comes in here. It's going to cut off a lot of this, and all of this is going to have to be shaved down quite considerably. And I think also probably just for the sake of ease of access, I'm probably going to have to move all of this in a couple of studs this way to make room for all of this complicated, weird geometry in here. But this is all still temporary, and I am still playing around with it, so there may be a way for me to extract a little bit of extra usable interior space and keep this more or less how you see it here. Because I do like the space, I like the feeling of that space, it feels right. And then, you know, having the door over here that goes into the kitchen, it just feels correct to me. So I'm gonna see what I can do. But yeah, so for the ladder, let me just show you on the other side. Very simple representation here. It's been done by Lego a million times. So it's just these fence pieces turned on their side with a 1x8 plate running down the side there. So nothing fancy about that. And then, yeah, like I said, back here is the indication of where the kitchen will go. So this has all been fairly standard, as you can see, just like bricks on top of bricks construction to just flesh out the interior walls here, and nothing too fancy to describe there. Though I do still want to figure out a way to kind of optimize the parts count, because this is getting a little bit parts dense back here, and I want to, you know, I already have all of this stuff up front, which is brick built, so it probably doesn't make sense to change that too much when we get into the back. But I don't know, I'm feeling like there's a lot of weight back here that I really want to try to reduce as much as possible to reduce the urge for it to want to tip, and B, just want to try to figure out ways to reduce the part count. So on this side I have these large panels that I was playing around with here. So these are single piece, and you know, they're fairly hollow and they're fairly light when compared to a whole stack of bricks to fill up the same space. So I'm going to probably experiment and see if there's anything I can do over here for that. And I just have a random little, again, a pipe detail in here because I like pipes with colored stripes on them. Ever since I put that in the Millennium Falcon, I thought that was a cool thing to include. And then yeah, back here is the kitchen. So for now, all I have in the kitchen is the start of an indication for a countertop with some cabinetry and a sink, and then what will be a folding table. So this is just, you know, it folds up because the crew needs maximum space, and it has two little benches to either side, which I have not yet represented. And then there's going to be the continuation of this landing zone here for the Phantom, which will be its own removable unit, just so that you can access and play down in here in the space for the minifigs to hang out. So, but I do think that this needs to be in here permanently, at least for now. I may figure out a way later on to have this whole thing be a single removable strip, but for structural stability reasons, this feels like it wants to be a solid permanent piece for right now, at least. So we'll see. Maybe next week I'll have a whole different outlook, and we'll see. But yeah, so the engine itself is built with Technic axles that run down the middle of the structure. It tries to be really faithful to the overall shape and proportions of the engines, especially when it comes to these cones right here and how that all tapers down into the ending here with the yellow engine outlet. I think it all looks really, really nice. I'm relying on a lot of these 1x2 and 2x2 curved slope pieces to outline the whole shape, and then also a lot of the mixels, I keep calling them mixels, the brickhead style of bricks with studs on the side to capture the look of the kind of cone section here that goes in to the side of the ship there. And I think it works really pretty well. And then I'm really happy with the overall shape of this. So the challenge is to have this part kind of match up with that and meet up with it as best as possible. And right now I'm not like thrilled with how all of this is looking, but it is a very interesting shape. Like I mentioned, it does need to have this kind of weird angle to it where it flows this way, versus the front section here, which is just straight. It's a nice flat panel, very easy. And this I'm using a lot of clips and hinges to angle plates at various angles to kind of capture that slope going up. But I'm thinking about trying out some different techniques for that, or just maybe some different configurations of parts. But there's something about this, especially like you see under here where it doesn't quite meet up all the way. Like there's a few areas where it's sort of blocky, and then also just the look of all of these clips and bars down the side here is kind of distracting to me. So I do want to figure out a way to get that to look, the way that I want it to. But once you put the lid section on here, it all meets up very, very nicely. And I'm very happy with all of that. So above the engine line, everything is very, very nice to me. And I've got the nice rounded detail in there. And then all of this section meets up very snug, and there's no real kind of major noticeable gaps. So this all worked out very, very well. I was kind of concerned initially that I wouldn't be able to figure out a suitable way to blend all of that. But yeah, I think it worked out just fine. And then yeah, the section here with where the Phantom will dock, there's plenty of room. I should be able to get a nice scale of Phantom in there that will fit a minifigure in the cockpit seat, hopefully. And also a passenger in the back, that would be really nice. And then back here we have the beginnings of some experimentation with greeblies. And I have to figure out a way to attach, so you can see here on my tiny model, there are these two large engines and the remainder of that fin which sticks out of the back of this section. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be building that to be just built right out of this surface, like it's going to be kind of tacked onto this plate surface right here, or if I'm going to figure out a way to, which I'm probably going to try to do, run some kind of a Technic axle through some plates in here that I switch out that have the plates with the holes in them, the Technic pinholes that go in between the studs. So that way I could have a lot more strength and stability for this back fin engine section, because it does stick out a fair way, and that is one point of concern for me thus far. But yeah, let's look underneath here. So you can see how I've built up a nice sturdy Technic frame for the floor, and also built up the fin. So using the available Technic elements that I kept for myself here in the central frame, I built a nice thin 1 brick wide, except for this part right here, Technic frame that would just support all of this floor section. So when you're standing figures up down in this whole section right here, it's very, very well supported. There's no danger of anything breaking or you putting your hand right through the floor or anything like that. It's all very nicely braced from below with a Technic floor, like almost like the floorboards in your house. You have the carpet, and then you have the floorboards underneath, and those are braced even further below that. So kind of a similar deal, and it works out very, very well. So, but yeah, I tried to keep this absolutely as light and as minimal as possible for the amount of stuff under here, because this is largely going to be hollow, like I said, with those large plated sections that come out under here, and then there's going to be the fin. So the fin will be kind of like the nice trim that finishes the shape off, and then the actual large panels will kind of just fill in the rest of the space. So yeah, I think I'm very happy with the progression overall so far. Oh, I do have landing gear on here as well. These are removable, but I think they sit just a little tiny bit too tall. I think I'm going to probably knock out a plate or two of thickness or of height from these, because it does make the Ghost feel a little bit taller than I think it should. So that's one thing that I think I can definitely do to improve on the shape. That will make me happy. And then yeah, what I'll probably end up doing is have a little clear stand way back here that just hooks into the bottom of that fin that will keep the back end up. Very similar to what I did with Stinger Mantis, where for the side wing I just have a little single clear rod to support that, to give it a little bit of extra strength and stability so it's not just stressing the parts. And yeah, that will make this a lot of a more kind of a safe for play kind of a model, which will be really cool. Another thing that I did since you saw this last is I figured out how to fit the puffer pig into this hallway, so yay. So I changed the pig design slightly where his feet are facing forwards. You can obviously remove them and put them on the sides here so he looks a little bit more like he's flailing around and a bit more awkward. And then I also just slightly reconfigured the underside of this lid so that it would have room to fit, and then if you just place it down in there, it fits no problem. So yay, Puffer Pig is now properly integrated into the ship. He's part of the crew, and I'm very happy about that. So yeah, what's next is to finish up all of this space back here, figure out exactly the requirements for all of the paneling that needs to happen, figure out if I'm going to be able to have this be a removable section or not. So that'll kind of let me know how much space exactly I have to play back here. So that's kind of the reason I haven't really committed to anything in the kitchen, because I don't know exactly how much space I'm going to have. Figure out how I'm going to attach these engines. Finish off all the nice kind of trim of this section under here, and start to figure out attachment techniques for opposing this panel under here. I'm actually gonna have to get a hold of some parts. I don't have enough to finish these panels as of yet. And then finally figure out if I can optimize this any better to suit my liking, because yeah, I think that the Ghost deserves the absolute premium treatment here, and all of the ways that I was able to get this to feel like it fits just the way it's supposed to. I definitely want to have that be the case back here. And yeah, there's just something about, I think, the amount of space up here that is exposed of this beam that runs down feels like a little too much to me. So I kind of just have to figure out some ways to marry these things a little bit better. But I will figure it out. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at this week. I think with the whole thing removed, getting to see a look at the entire kind of section that runs all the way down from front to back is very, very satisfying there. The amount of playable space that goes all the way through. Oops, there's a loose piece that shouldn't be there. All the way down through and into the back. That feels very, very satisfying. And I think especially too, once you have the Phantom in place back there, you'll be able to kind of imagine the characters, like I said, running in from the doors below, from the cargo bay, coming into the ship, and then coming up the ladder up here, running down to either their bunks, the cockpit, back towards the kitchen, and that's all like, that all works, that whole space through there. There's no like cheating or anything underneath this section. It all works just fine. It's an actual like empty hallway, and then the characters can run down in here and either go up to the gun turret, into the kitchen, or to the Phantom. It all just flows the way that it should, and I'm super happy with that. And of course, the characters can also run down this hallway here and exit the ship if they need to through the docking rings on the side. So it's all completely walkable from the ground into the ship and around, and that makes me very happy. So yeah, that's about all I have to show you guys this week. This still makes me very happy. It still works really well. And then actually, if I take this out, you can have a little peek down there so you can see the hallway below. Just imagine characters frantically running around the halls of the Ghost, as they often do. And yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. So let me know what you think down in the comments of the progress so far. Are you excited to see the finished article? Is there anything that you think I'm doing especially badly or especially well? It'd be awesome for you to let me know so I can continue to improve this model. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and may the Force be with you.